Welcome to the webinar, Immunophenotyping in FCS Express 7. My name is Robin Komocheka and I'm a Technical Application Specialist at Novo Software. Thank you for your attendance today. If you have any questions at any time during this webinar, please feel free to use the questions section in the GoToWebinar dialog box in the space indicated by the blue arrow. If you can see my screen and hear my voice, please take a moment to introduce yourself. I'm really glad you're here. Today's webinar will demonstrate why FCS Express 7 is the right tool for your immunophenotyping analysis. Everything you need can be found here, so if you haven't done so already, please take a moment and sign up for your free demo today. Let's get started by taking a look at a completed layout. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see the data list. The data list is comprised of 6 tubes, 2 B-cell marker tubes, an isotype tube, a myeloid marker tube, a T and NK cell marker tube, and a viability tube. For immunophenotype analysis, panels can be very useful. Panels allow you to use individual tubes and files to create gates and plots, and then collectively use all the information so that you can distinguish populations across multiple markers. The B-cell page demonstrates how multiple markers are being used to define B-cell populations. In addition to the B-cell page, we have several other populations of interest, and each are distinguished by the names of the pages below. In addition to those pages, we have a viability page and a statistics page. The statistic page offers a summary of the entire layout. Using graphing tools, formatting tools, and statistical information, we've created a comprehensive report. The greatest feature about this is that if I move this gate, everything updates in real time, and that applies to any gate within the layout. So once we've created an element in our layout, we don't have to recreate it if we decide to move a gate. The layout we'll be creating today will be much simpler than the one before you now, but this gives you an idea that you can adjust the complexity of your analysis to meet your analysis needs. Let's take a moment to review the topics that will be covered in today's webinar. We'll be introducing samples to the layout and analyzing them side by side using panels. We'll be inserting and formatting plots, creating and applying gates, quadrants, and markers, adding statistics to the layout using default statistic tables, spreadsheets, and text tables, batch processing the results from the layout to PowerPoint and Excel, and creating a template for future analysis. Let's get started in a new layout. In the new layout, you can see that FCS Express is designed to look a lot like Microsoft PowerPoint. This is a great feature because the tabs and ribbons and the components therein offer an element of familiarity. So even if you're new to the software, there are elements that you've likely seen before. And how it functions in PowerPoint is 9 times out of 10 how it functions in FCS Express. So inserting plots or text boxes, using alignment features, formatting text is all something that we have likely used before. Similarly to PowerPoint, everything that you put into the FCS Express workspace is formattable. So I'm going to go ahead and start by changing the orientation of my page. Now let's introduce some data into our layout. There are a couple different ways we can introduce layout. One, I can use this blue icon and add data. I can select the file, open the file. Additionally, I can open a file and drag and drop directly from the file into the data list. The samples we added today are mouse samples, and we'll be looking at T cell markers, B cell markers, and NK cell markers. What we'd like to do in this layout is create a cellular profile for mouse 1. So, to start that, I'm going to create a panel. After we open a panel, we select Add, and I'm going to name the panel Mouse Profile. We have 3 tubes, so I'm going to add each of those tubes. And I'm also going to enter a name so that I can make sure that my samples are in the correct order and match up with my panel. Once we've created the panel, all we do is select OK. The mouse profile is marked active. And you can see now that the 3 tubes are not being seen individually in individual iterations, but as a single iteration. So let's get started introducing some plots. We can use the insert tube here, or we can drag and drop directly from the data list. When we drag and drop, we can also select the plot types that are seen above in our plot selection window. Let's go ahead and start with a color dot plot. When we introduce a new plot, the default axes are listed. This is an easy change. Simply click on the axes and use the drop-down menu to select the axes that you're choosing. Now we've created our first plot, let's go ahead and gate for our cells so that we can exclude the beads population here in the upper left. When we create a new gate, a gate window is open. In this space, we're able to name our gate, choose if it has a parent gate or replace an existing gate if those are options, modify gate color, include or exclude the contents of the gate, emphasize the contents of the gate on plots, or always create a data-specific gate when moving this gate. Gates in FCS Express are universal, so when you create a data-specific gate, it's really customized to a specific sample in case it does not fit the universal gate. Let's go ahead and click OK. We can see we've created our first gate. Everything here is formatable, so let's go ahead and open our format window. When we open our format window, we can go ahead and dock it to our layout so that anytime that we need to access it, it'll be readily available. Since we'll be drilling down for populations of interest, let's go ahead and modify our title and insert the current gate so that we'll know what is the gate that this plot is derived off of. From our initial plot, if we're interested in these cells, we can drag and drop into a white space here in the layout. And now you see that the axes have remained the same, but now I'm looking only at my population of interest, and the title has updated with cells because this is how this plot was derived. Using this, I'm going to change my axes and start drilling down towards populations of interest. We're going to start by looking at our CD3 positive cells. I'm going to name it CD3 positive. And I'm going to change the color to blue here. And click OK. And you can see once I've created this new gate, it has also backgated onto our original plot. We're going to continue drilling down, so we'll drag this population out. We'll modify these axes to CD4 and CD8. And instead of using a gate this time, let's go ahead and insert a quadrant. Now quadrants are very nice. We can use this middle vertices to change our position of our quadrant. If this doesn't necessarily fit our data, we can also move to the quadrant section in our formatting and modify our type here. A floating quadrant gives you the option to move each part of your quadrant individually. So I can move at the center, and I can move each arm so that I have the best fit for my data. Additionally, there are some percentile types of quadrants. With these are very beneficial if you know or have an expected percentage of cells to see in a location within your quadrants here. In FCS Express, quadrants are not automatically made into gates, which can be very useful if you're doing some exploratory analysis or if you're using quadrants to kind of drill down to a population of interest, and then when you finally arrive, you can create the gate that you want. So the populations of interest in this plot are our upper left, our CD4 positive, and our lower right, the CD8. So we're going to convert some of these gates, or some of these quadrants to gates. Let's start with the upper left. We'll convert in link. CD4 positive. And we'll leave the color the same. Click OK. And then we'll do the same for the lower right. And as you can see for this one, the gate color has come up the same. So I'm actually going to modify the gate color here for our CD8 positive. We're going to go with a violet. And again, you can see all of this information has backgated onto our original plot. So if we would like to format over here, we can change the gates to display. We can select that we only want to see our original cells, and then we can take out that backgating. Expand that a little bit. One of the nice features as well, because we use the convert and link for our gates, is if we move any of these quadrants around, we will see that our gates will also update. So I'm going to go ahead and return our quadrants to a standard. There we go, kind of lock. Oh, there we go. And now I'm going to insert some default statistics from the plot. We're going to enter our quadrant statistics. As well as our gate statistics so that you can see how everything will update in real time. Now everything is formatable, so there's some default statistics that pop up. If we want to format any of that, we simply right click and we can deselect them one at a time, or using our format window, we can modify multiple statistics in one go. So let's go ahead and adjust these and just kind of drill it down to the ones that we are looking at. And then we can just select the next one and continue on making our selections and modifying. Makes it really convenient to have your format window so readily available. And let's modify the gates to display here. Since this plot was derived from the CD3 gate, we can modify the gates that are shown here. And we're going to select only the gates checked below. And by default, you'll get the information from the CD3 gate because it always has the none gate or the plot information that that information was derived from. And since this started at the CD3 positive, you'll see that that's where this number is derived from. So let's go ahead and move our quadrants around, and you can see that both the CD4 and CD8 gates are moving, as well as the quadrant information. Now, if we're trying to make our layout look as nice as possible, we can also take a moment to align tops of our graphs, our plots, distribute horizontally, align these guys to the right, to make sure that our layout is presentation ready when we finish. Now that we've built a little bit of our layout, let's go ahead and insert a gate view. The gate view is a really nice tool. We can view our hierarchy and we can make modifications directly. So if I didn't mean to put something somewhere, I can go ahead and drag and drop and change my hierarchy order without having to recreate my gate. If I did that on accident, I can undo and modify it there as well. Another feature in the gate view is that I can adjust my gate properties. So I can go in and edit my gate There are a couple new rules that I can add to my gate if I wanted to, or I can just make modifications to the color, emphasis, and the same features that we saw in the initial Create a Gate window. So let's go ahead and just change this to orange. Click OK. You'll see that the outline has changed and the cells have changed, but my text box has not. So if we right click on this plot, recreate our text boxes, that will be updated as well. We have some additional populations that we'll be looking at, so let's go ahead and create a gate on our existing plot for our CD45 positive but CD3 negative cells. And that's what we'll name it. And we'll do a light, something a little better, turquoise. So now we've kind of filled up the space on this first page. So I'm going to format page 1, and I'm going to name it T cells. And all of our plots have been derived from that T cells sample here. And we're going to begin page 2. We're going to format that. We're going to name it B cells and NK cells. Now another convenient feature is that you don't have to recreate the wheel. So this will be a nice plot to carry forward because we're looking at the CD45 positive and CD3 negative. So we can copy this plot, move to our second page, and paste it, and adjust it to our liking. Now here we can also make additional adjustments where we can remove or change the current gate that we're visualizing. So if we only want to see our CD45 positive, CD3 negative, we can adjust here in the current gate. And then in our formatting, we can modify our gates to display. And then we can deselect our CD3 positive so we no longer see that gate. Now notice here that we're still looking at the T cells file, but for this part we're going to be looking at additional cells. So I can select here a file from my data list, select the file and the plot, then change data on selected plots. And you'll see now that this is updated to mouse 1, 2 B cells. Using the same procedure we've used before, we're going to go ahead and drag and drop this out into the white space. But this time we're going to go ahead and modify our plot. So we've already created, but we don't have to delete it if we wanted to change our plot type. We simply come over to Change Plot Type, and we'll select Histogram. We'll modify this to CD19, and we'll see a small peak for our B cells. Now we'll introduce a marker. Markers are like quadrants, and they do not automatically make a gate, which again is very nice when you're exploring your data and kind of figuring out where you would like to place a gate or if you would like to commit to a gate. It gives you some flexibility in your analysis. I would also like to take a moment and show you that as we drag and drop, the formatting of the previous plot is still maintained in the new one, so we can still see our current gate of our plot. Now let's convert this marker to a gate. Marker 1, convert in link. and we'll name this B cell. And we can pick a new color and OK. Now for our final plot, we're going to drag and drop from the data list, and we're going to try a density plot this time. We're going to do CD45 by our CD16 and 56. Now, as you can see here, we don't have the current gate listed in our title. And as we scroll over to the upper left-hand corner, we can see that no current gate has been applied. But that's okay. We can use the drop-down menu and still select our population and apply a gate. So we've applied the same gate now through here, and now we can gate on our NK cells. Once the gate is drawn, of course, we can adjust it if we need to, make any modifications to color, placement. So let's again take a moment to align our plots and beautify our layout. We've really begun to build a nice layout. So there's some options here that we can go back and view our layout and make it more easy to navigate through. We can look at 2 pages horizontally or vertically. And then we also have some navigation features which are really nice. So a gate navigator is very similar to what we've seen before in our gate view, except it adds some additional information about where the gates are being applied and used. Another great feature about this is that if you click on a specific plot, it'll actually navigate you there and show the plot selected. Our Data Navigator takes a look from the viewpoint of our files. This will tell you where your files are being used and how they're being used throughout the layout and in which plots. And again, the same thing applies. If you select one, you'll be led to that page and the plot will be highlighted. And finally, a layout navigator is similar to a page, is similar to giving you all the information over your pages. So we have a T cells page and a B cells page, so it's like a table of contents for your layout. So now that we've had a moment to look at some of our navigation features, let's introduce a spreadsheet. We're going to name it Mouse Profile, and we're also going to open our Data Navigator. Now all of these are dockable, so I can move them around. I can dock them on the top or bottom of already docked features, or I can just move it to the side. However I need to adjust my layout so that the workflow is best for me, I have that flexibility in FCS Express. Data can be added to our spreadsheet directly by text, by dragging and dropping from plots or the data list, or utilizing token features. The term token in FCS Express is really a term used to identify a piece of data, and that piece of data can be derived from plots, from the data file itself, or from different components in the layout. So let's go ahead and start populating our spreadsheet. Here, I'm just going to enter in a text, mouse, and here, I'm actually going to insert a token, And I'm going to use a layout feature. And because this is mouse 1 and iteration 1, I'm going to use that as my identifier. Insert, and you can see that this has updated with the number 1. Additionally, I'm going to start dragging some data from my plots. So here with the Data Navigator, I can again choose a plot to confirm that that's the one that I'm interested in introducing to my spreadsheet. Toggle back, grab from here, and drag and drop into my spreadsheet. I'll do a statistic token, and I'm interested at looking at my CD4 gate, my CD8 gate, and we'll do percent of all cells. Click OK, and you'll see that that information has updated in our spreadsheet. As I mentioned before, you can also drag and drop directly from a plot. So I can grab this marker here, let me adjust this text box a little bit so I can grab the marker. There we go. And I can place it here. And again, I'll be offered the same selections. So I can either use it as the marker, I can select no, I can use it as the B cell, and I'll do percent of all cells again. Okay. And now you see on this one that it didn't automatically update with a title. I can adjust that by inserting a token. And knowing that we use the gate, let's go ahead and add a gate name, insert, and then I'm able to select my B cell. And for the last one, you can also drag and drop text boxes. So this one, all my other statistics thus far have shown percent of all cells, but this one is showing something different. So let's go ahead and format this token. If we go to statistic, go to NK cells, and then we'll adjust it to percent of all cells. Oops. Try that again. Format the right token, statistic. Instead of percent of gated cells, it should be percent of all cells. We'll update that, and then we'll go back and fix this too. And we'll do gate. Click OK, and then we've updated our spreadsheet. Another nice feature about our spreadsheet is that we can introduce formulas. So let's go ahead and add a column for that. And we'll do a CD4-CD8 ratio. Now, just like in Excel, we can adjust all of our column widths to make sure that our data is being displayed in a way that we would like to see it. I'm going to expand these out just a little bit. Back over here. There we go. In this cell, we're going to do an equal. We're going to do CD4 first, so B2 divided by C2. So we can go ahead and modify this so that we're not seeing all these extra decimal digits. We'll format cells, go to number, 2 decimal places, and select OK. Now that we've got a good spreadsheet started, we can go ahead and close our Data Navigator, modify this. I'm going to go up here to the Layout tab and insert a row. So we didn't designate that these are distinguished from all cells. So I'm going to merge these cells, and then I'm going to do enter by text percent of all cells. And then we can also center our text. Perfect. An additional tool we can use is we can insert a text box and then insert a table. Let's do 2 columns by 3 rows. Insert. And again, all of these things and all of these features are just designed to give you the power to create the layout that gives you the information and the results that you need quickly and in a presentation-ready form. The text table that we've created, I'm going to go ahead and add summary of statistics. And again, everything is completely formatable. I'm going to merge these cells. I'm going to move the text so that it's centered, and I'll change the text color. Then let's go ahead and change that background to match that blue. We'll do table properties, move to cells, change from transparent, and we'll go with a little bit lighter blue, but still a nice blue background. Then we click away, we can see that all of our updates and formatting features have been applied to our table. I'm going to make a column here for name. I'm going to take a file from our data list, drag and drop it here. We'll do a statistic token, and I'm just interested in the file name. Click OK. Oops. Let me correct that. Needed to select a parameter. Because we're just using the file name, we can pick whichever works. And then additionally, we can bring in information from the spreadsheet that we created. So we're going to insert a token. We're going to use a spreadsheet cell value. We're going to select the spreadsheet, and we're going to get the cell address. So let's insert our CD4 CD8 ratio. In this box, I'm going to use F2 so that I can get the title. Click OK. And then we'll do the same here, but this time we'll actually grab F3 to get the statistic or the ratio. Great. So now we have a nice little summary, a layout that we've created that gives us the information that we're looking for. We've gotten to our results quickly. We've formatted the components that we'd like to format. So that completes the first stage of our process, which is completing the layout. So the next stage would be creating a batch. And for batching, we get to select how we would like to export our data from our layout. So going here, let's select batch and open our batch actions. Actually, let us back up for just one moment. I'm going to close the batch actions, and since we have our layout developed from mouse 1, let's go ahead and bring in some of those other samples that we saw earlier. We're going to bring in mouse 2 and mouse 3. Open files. Now, when we have these populated into the data list, we can confirm if they're in the right order, and you can see that we have a couple tubes that have not been placed in the right order. So to correct that, we simply select it, we can do an up arrow, and it'll move up, and now we have the correct order. We have our T cells, B cells, NK cells, T cells, B cells, and NK cells. And this is really important because we want the same data files to appear in the same places in our layout. So now if we move through our layout, looking at different iterations, this is mouse 1 here. We select we select next to move on to the second one, and now mouse 2 samples are being displayed. We select next again, and now we can see mouse 3. Now, earlier I had mentioned that sometimes our universal gate does not specifically fit to certain data files, and this is a great example. You can see here in mouse 3 that our NK cells are not fitting well within this gate. So what we can do here is select the plot, select the gate, move to our gating tools, and use a data-specific gate. This allows me to move this gate, but only for this specific plot. So the universal gate will remain the same, but this gate will be updated. And we'll go ahead and view this. I'm going to modify the size so that you can really see a difference between the universal gate and this gate. So this is our data-specific gate. Now if we go back to our Data tab and go to our Previous, you can see how the gate has changed. So this is our universal gate, and this is our data-specific gate. And also, as we scroll through all of our iterations or different mice 1, 2, and 3, you can see that our spreadsheets table and our text table here have updated accordingly as we move through our data set. Let's go ahead and look at our T cells page, and we can do the same thing and just move through our data sets and making sure that all our files have populated properly and on the proper plots. Okay, now let's move ahead to our batch processing. Let's open up our batch and start defining our batch actions. Our batch actions window is also a dockable window, so we can move it to the side of our layout if we'd like to keep it open while moving through our layout. Also, anything that we've docked, we can adjust an auto hide here by selecting that pin, so when we move away, it'll hide into the side of our thing, and if we ever need it back, we just come back to the tab here. So let's add the action to save to a PowerPoint. Now when this opens, we have a few selections that we can have. Let's make sure we open the presentation after saving so we don't have to go searching for it. And then most importantly, we need to have an output file location. So let's just go ahead and save this to the desktop. And the file opened on the other side. My apologies. And we'll do mouse profile and click save. That's updated here, and click OK. And now you can see that the PowerPoint has been added to our batch process actions. Now if we deselect this, we can still keep it in our list, but then it won't be batched in our processing. So that makes it really nice because when we save a layout, all of these batch process actions will be here, and we can selectively use or not use any components that we've already added. Now let's go ahead and add an Excel report. Just make sure Open File after saving is selected, and then again we need to select where we would like to save this file. Say, name it Mouse Profile again, and we'll go up. There we go. Select OK. And now with our Excel, we're not quite done because now we have to add what kind of statistics we would like for Excel to report. So there's, again, the drag and drop is a very, very useful feature. We can drag and drop from our default statistics, and you'll see it's updated. We can do it single, or we can grab multiple. Additionally, we still have the option to drag and drop from the plots themselves. Go ahead and bring this marker over. We'll do B cells, percent of all cells. Okay. And then we'll also drag our NK cells gate. And click OK. So now we've added some nice statistics to our Excel sheet. So the only thing we have left to do is really run our batch. Before I run my batch though, I do like to confirm that I'm on my first iteration so that it will batch through properly. So I'm going to auto hide this window, move back to our batching tab, select run, and we'll say yes. This just says that there were some snapshots already saved. Continue. And both the spreadsheet and the PowerPoint have automatically opened on my second screen. So here's our Excel. We see we have data from each of our mice, mouse 1, 2, and 3, and that the gated features that we asked for Excel to report are here listed in our spreadsheet. And now let me bring over our PowerPoint. We can see that each mouse has 2 pages within our PowerPoint, and all of them have been put into one PowerPoint presentation. Go ahead and close this as well. Great. So now the only thing really left is to make sure that our hard work doesn't go to waste. So let's save our layout as a template. We'll do a save as. We'll keep the original name here and just add template. Now when creating a template, you don't want it to be linked to data, so you want to make sure that you select layout files with unlinked data. And then we'll save. Now when I navigate back to the folder, we'll find our template folder here. So let's go ahead and close out this layout that we've created today. We'll navigate back to the folder and open our template. And here's our template. You can see that it says errors right now because we haven't introduced any data. So let's just introduce some data and watch it auto-populate. Make sure that our panel tubes have come back in the right order, T cells, B cells, and K cells, and they have. Everything looks great. So if this were new data, our work would be significantly reduced because now everything has come back into our layout and we're able to review our data and make sure all the gates are good, and then we're done. We can move on. So this concludes our webinar on immunophenotyping. This was an overview and a brief introduction to the tools within FCS Express that can enhance your data analysis. Now I know we covered a lot today and there were just a lot of different components. There's always more information available for you on our website, or you can feel free to reach out to us at support@denovosoftware.com. There are additional webinars and video downloads on our website at denovosoftware.com. And additionally, I'll be here for just a few more minutes after the closing of the webinar, so to answer any of the questions that I've seen come up. Thank you for your attendance today at the Immunophenotyping webinar in FCS Express 7.
Again, I'd like to thank you for your attendance today at the webinar. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, I'm here for just a couple more minutes. I'd like to thank you again for attending the webinar. If anyone has any last-minute questions, I'm still here and can answer them. Thank you again for your attendance. I'm going to go ahead and close out our webinar. I appreciate you being here with me today and attending the webinar, Immunophenotyping and FCS Express 7. Have a great day and look forward to working with you soon.